This is Life at the Crossroads.
I have a question though.
That's good.
There seems to be a pandemic of men being afraid of strong women.
Yeah,
I agree.
always
Right?
a conversation.
In different settings. Di ba? Hindi, pero yun nga, parang inisip ko, kasi I would think, Pastor Mon, you're a strong man to be with
Not
Lay.
sure.
Di ba, it takes
Show
it takes that secure or whatever. Pero parang just observing at least the church scene. I don't know how it is outside, pero one of the things that we're thinking about is how do you help men to just step out, diba? To step out and to not to back down when a woman seems to be stronger, more open, diba? More decisive.
That's right.
I mean, we have conversations with our young adults. A lot of the women, they're like, Pastor, the men are like, it's almost like they're hiding. And a lot of these young women are very strong. They have very strong personalities. They know what they want.
And then we advise them. We say, don't apologize for being strong, because you want somebody who is able to run with you,
That's right.
and not be behind you, not be under you or anything like that. Kasi you'll get frustrated, right? I'm sure there are men out there. We are calling you. Where are you? No.
So
You're out there.
So Pastor, what is your advice to these men?
Hanap kayo ng iba. Dalo ka lang. Ang gulo. Wait, what?
Ang hirap i-edit na ito.
Hirap
Hindi natin alam kung yung totoo tsaka yung mali.
Entering the relationship, I know that Pastor Mitch is considered a strong woman, and this is not. She didn't evolve like this. She was like this, right? Even then.
No, you've actually allowed me to be stronger.
There you go. It's all about me, yeah? Ang gulo nyo, wait. Now, that's why it was important for me to find out who I was.
That's
Not
right.
because I was confused.
That's right.
It was not that at all.
That's
It's just
right.
that once I know where I'm standing in life, what my direction is, and who my God is, right?
That's it.
Then I'm able to tune out all the naysayers or whatever and just say, and get to that point that day and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to pursue you. Would you agree to that? And if you say no, I'm going to move on,
So good.
right? But that took a lot of processing
So
to
good.
do for me. And we would encourage men. We're not saying that you have to be a certain type of guy to just be confident of who you are at the moment, because the girl who will say yes to you is going to say yes to you as you are, not to the person who you can become, right? And vice versa. You're not pursuing a girl for who they will become later on. You're saying yes, or you're pursuing the person that they are right now. You're not pursuing an ideal, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be content. Okay, I want to be with you because of who you are right now, and then grow from there,
That's right. That's
right? So yun lang. I mean, it's still gonna be a conversation.
Yeah, well, personally, I totally agree, which pushes us back to our previous conversations on how to be single.
Right.
Because truth be told, you never stop being an individual.
That's
Yes.
true. Yes.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
whether you are married, whether you're pursuing in a relationship, or even single for life, you never stop being an individual. You know, it is the wholeness that you walk in as an individual before God, you know, that you know who you are, whose you are, you know, the purpose, direction that you have in life, the call of God in your life. All of that together makes you fulfilled. And let's face it, it adds more, well, this is my own take, you know. and correct me if I'm wrong, Pastor.
I will.
Yeah. But you see, in the garden, it was given to the man as a mandate, to tend and keep the garden. So there is a certain sense of fulfillment that a man is supposed to walk in that propels him into that divine relationship that God had ordained when
Correct.
woman came into the picture. You don't see that with the woman. I'm not saying that the woman did not tend and keep
it
the
does
garden.
not diminishes the woman
Right.
in any way.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's divine order right there. Could it be? I just want to throw out a challenge out there, to all the men. Sometimes we're so busy looking for the partner and rushing into, preparing ourselves for the love life, ika nga, but forgetting the fact that even when you're already in the middle of a relationship, in the middle of a commitment, your being an individual whole before God never stops.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And that includes your calling, that includes your financial wellness, that includes direction in life, even you can constantly renewing your mind. And so for me, to all the men out there, never stop prioritizing that which God has laid out before you. I mean, it may sound spiritual, but it translates effectively into the
Very good.
these matters. I remember because even in our relationship, I was hesitant. Remember, because nilaglag na ako eh. Oh, yan na.
Hesitant.
When I was hesitant at first, when I sent those flowers. Totoo yun, Pastor, na parang, di ba, meron kang parang, gusto mo maging sigurista eh.
Yeah.
Pero nabawi ko naman yan. Yan. But when I received my call, 2005, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt that God was calling me to be in the ministry,
Yeah.
it was the other way around. I already laid it down.
Naglaga na. Sige, ikaw naman.
Oh, ito na, di ba? I laid it down on the table to lay, and I told her, this is gonna be my life. This is where, all of a sudden, it's like, I can't understand it. There was just a different boldness to take the relationship on another level, but there was such a clarity as to where
That's
I
so
was
good.
going in life that I knew whether or not she was there, this is where I was headed, but I hoped she would be. And so I had to lay it down on the table, and I told her, this is where God has called me, not putting any pressure on you. I want you to be free to decide for yourself, pray and
Which
seek
pressured me a
God.
lot, by the way.
Diba? And so I'm just saying that is where I got, I guess, the confidence, to lead as well, because now it goes back to what you said earlier, that I know who I am, I know where I'm headed, I know what God has for me. And so now I'm able to lead well. Because again, where are you going to lead the woman if you don't know where you're headed? That's going to be very difficult.
I think it's a pattern. At least we can find certain patterns in Scripture where the man has to have his wilderness experience and
Wow.
wrestle with God, right? And it's more than just a conversation with God, because we don't. But the idea of wrestling with God to find out who you are, for those of you who need reference, yung story ni Jacob, di ba? That he had to wrestle with God, and then God had to give him a new identity
Right.
afterwards.
Yep.
Right? And because of that experience, you carry that limp with pride,
Wow.
because that's your mark as a man. That there was a point in my
Wow.
life that maybe I was struggling, maybe I was going here and there and fooling people wherever I go. I was a deceiver in a sense, but that point changed me. And this marks me, and I carry this with pride because that was my shift. And if that's what you have to go through as a man, then go through that. Find other people, men that you respect, that will cheer you on, not baby you. Because you'll have to wrestle this on your own. Like Pastor Mon said, you never lose that sense of individuality, because that's how God created all of us, unity in diversity. Each one is diverse, but we all celebrate our diversity together. Pero yung moment lang yun, Abraham had that moment, Jacob had that moment.
So good.
Jesus had that moment
That's
of
right.
going to the wilderness and fighting that battle and emerge and carry the ministry from that point on.
That's good. And the goal is not so you can jump into a relationship, but the goal is to make you a solid individual.
Right.
Because you know who you are, you know what you want, and therefore, when that woman comes by and passes by, you can make that decision, okay, I'm gonna find a partner in life and for life. And you have that confidence already. You know, in fact, when Pastor Mon did that, he told me, he laid down the cards on the table. That was an invisible table because he did that on the phone. Uso pa yung phone noon, right? Literally, for me, I was shocked. And because I was a baby in the faith, okay, didn't know much about the things that he wanted to pursue, about the Bible and stuff like that. I told him, maybe we should just break up. Okay, because you want to be in full-time ministry, you want to be a pastor. What is a pastor? What do you do? I mean, I don't know anything about that. I was coming in from a different background, but I was very curious about the word, So he told me, you don't necessarily have to be who I will become. You don't have to be in the same call as me. You can be different, so no pressure in that. But to me, as a woman, my point is that I want him who already know what he wants, and this seems holy. The calling seems holy to me at that time, and it is holy, right? I want him to be partnered with someone who already know her call, so that I won't be a drag to that person. And so that's the reason why we broke up. And so I had to seek God for myself, and within, I guess, 2 weeks, I had to call and tell him, hey, available ka pa ba? Joke lang. I had to call him because we're already friends, right? Because we built that foundation of friendship, and we talk a lot, and then go, hi, I heard from God, and He told me that you're a safe man to follow. And so I will follow you wherever you go. And that's
At
it.
what point did you receive Jesus?
2 days before that. Okay. Yeah, well, that's really good. I mean, I'm loving this conversation right now. I guess for me, pastors, one of the questions that we want to ask is this, no? Because men have options, right? You do have options. Women do. I mean, there are women here who have a lot of options, right? And so, what are the deal breakers in choosing the partner for you? Kasi we're talking about being pursued na. As a man, pastor, I mean, what would be your advice, even to women, I guess, deal breakers? Like, what are the things that they shouldn't compromise? Kasi syempre, iba-iba rin yung standard, and we can't put a criteria in like a template and goes, this is your checklist 1 to 10, it has to be this. But at least, ano yung deal breakers?
I guess it cannot be the same sex.
Okay.
Oy,
I agree.
issue,
Right.
right? No, for me, although that's, of course, serious, it has to go in line with where you see yourself going and what you believe,
That's good.
right? What you believe. Kasi sometimes the categories that we set in place,
Or the list you
or
have.
the list that you want are not necessary. Those are preferences, all right? But you have to, the preference cannot be cannot be confused with principle,
Wow.
right? You have your
Good.
principle that is biblical and
So
all of
good.
these things.
Your values.
But sometimes we
yeah.
confuse principle from preferences, and
So good.
and now you end up with either a very short list that over time, right, you begin to question, darating pa ba tong perfect
This
na-
perfect
oo.
person. It's ideal.
But then your eyes are not open to the to the people. And
Good,
so
that's good.
for me, that I don't know if you can have or enumerate at this point, ito yung deal breaker sa akin, whatever. But it is really, what does the word say? Those are very authoritative guidelines for us. Pero yung tipong dapat matangkad, singkit, or whatever, those are
Preferences.
that
And
we
they'll
want. And they
change.
can change.
Right,
They can
right,
Your
change,
type.
right?
Sometimes you get stuck with type.
Okay, I thought the preferences can change, like, I can still grow taller.
That's up to God.
No, but like type. You can get stuck in type.
Very
That's
good.
true, that's true.
Good.
Ladies, just because a guy goes to church doesn't necessarily mean he's a godly man.
Wow.
Just putting that out there. You know.
Even though he looks like a god.
True. Even if he looks like a god
Or
and goes
Thor.
to church,
Amazing. Good.
you know,
very good.
because fruit will tell, right? And you're going to see through his life if he really believes what he espouses,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if he really walks the walk, you know.
Don't fall in love with a gift.
Good.
Sometimes we get impressed with the wrapping
That's so good.
and
So good.
not go to the heart of the person, right? And so sometimes kung wrapping lang and then you put yourself in a relationship and then you discover, ganun pala, right? That's why nga yung friendship babalik ka dun eh.
Correct.
But
I agree.
our types have changed, right?
What do you mean our types have changed? We are each other's type.
No. To begin with, di ba?
Yes, our types
I don't like this
change.
type. I love it.
Our types changed when we met each other.
Yeah. The moment you
That's
enter
what
that
you
door,
meant.
my type just went out the window.
Yun. Yun. That's it. That's it.
Good save. Good save.
You know, pastors, I'll shift the conversation a little bit back to something that you touched on briefly earlier. But I think it needs to be a conversation kasi, you know, in getting into a relationship, practical thing is, of course, I mean, it's a given that everybody's a work in progress, right? Everybody's still in development. People are finding out their strengths. In some cases, people are actually just settling into their careers. Some are actually still on the journey of discovering their calling, you know. So we understand that. So my question basically is, in getting into a relationship, is it right to say yes to the prospect of a potential? And how do I balance that with seeing what's clearly in front of my eyes? Like, do I get into a relationship because, may potential to maging a great man, you know? Or may potential to really prosper in the call. You know, I mean, mukha naman siyang godly. And then, on the other end, you see certain things that's glaring right in front of your eyes that the person is walking out, but you see also potential. How do you intermarry the two?
Well, the thing is this. Everyone has potential. Every single person has potential. But potential may not be reached. Right? If there are already glaring discrepancies in the way they live, I would say that person is probably not the right person at the moment.
That's good. That's good.
And while the person may have potential, you don't stop walking the path that God's given you because you're still waiting for this person to reach their potential.
Right.
You keep on walking, and eventually, if you're going to meet up later, and you're not the complement to somebody else now, and you end up meeting, you're like, oh, so this person actually has changed. Yeah. They've developed, you know. So for me, he always had potential, but I got into a relationship with him knowing who he was in the moment. And he wasn't perfect, but I saw the growth. So let's just say the times that we broke up, maybe about 3 or 4 times that we went through this process of breaking up because of him finding himself. But in the process, I had to find myself. You know, my worth and value was not dependent on whether he was with me.
That is an individual pursuit, yung finding who you are.
Yeah, very good.
Hindi pwedeng, you can't make your goal finding someone to complete you. Otherwise, you'll never find you.
Right.
It's good.
Right?
That's good.
So good.
Diba? So, dangerous yung tipong, ikaw yung magkukumpleto sa akin.
Yep.
And then you will always put the demand on finding who you are
On somebody
and not
else.
On somebody else.
True.
It's not gonna.
See, I had to be okay that if we did not end up together later on, it was fine.
Right.
You know, and so every time there was that breakup, especially the last one. The last one was like, you know
A
what?
little bit more decisive.
Yeah, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
I can't go through this anymore. You know, because it felt so wishy-washy. You want to be with me, then you don't want to be with me because you're finding yourself. So what was it when we were together? So the thing is, though, I went into another relationship not soon after. You know, and we stopped talking. While we had been friends, it hurt too much to be around him or to have conversations with him. And so we had no communication for about a month, 2 months, nothing. And then we saw each other. And he was so shocked to see me. And I was very happy, you know, and I told him, I said, hey, you know, remember when we told each other that if we started to like somebody else or, you know, then to let the other person know? So I said, I'm letting you know that I like somebody else in this. And it was funny because the look on his face, everything dropped. And it was so confusing. And I was just like, that's so strange. And then
It's because I peed in my pants a little bit.
There's so many things that we have to edit out here in case the children are watching.
So, I mean, I got confused at that moment, but then I was just like, I can't allow that confusion to stop me from moving forward.
And this is the only face I had. So she couldn't do anything with that.
No, but I remember him saying to me that, so interesting enough, he started messaging me again and calling me again. And so we started to talk again almost every single day. And I remember him at one point because he had a show he was doing, and he goes, I'm going to come and visit you after my show. But this is what he said, but you have to decide it's either me or him.
Wow.
Because if hindi niya pinili, pipiliin ko siya.
No, so see, in that moment, he had become very decisive. And it was like, what just happened? You know, but I still had feelings for him. It's not like your feelings just go away after a year,
And I can't
right?
blame her.
Are you having fun?
It's just us, that's why, right? And by the way, everyone else
Everyone
is watching.
else, hi. So when he came over after that day, on that day, exactly like he said he would, and so he asks me, so what's your decision? So I was quiet.
Wow.
I mean, I had already had a
Dinate
conversation.
ko muna siya. We came from a
We
date.
did not date that day.
Hindi, according to my schedule, we had a date.
No, sweetheart.
Ano bang araw yan?
No, sweetheart.
Ay,
We
ibang
didn't
tao pala
date.
yun.
It's okay. I'm fine. I'm very chill. The conversations you and I are going to have after this are going to be exciting. No, so he came over after the show, and then he asked, and I had already had this conversation with the other guy, and the other guy already knew. He goes, "Go. I already know that you still love him, and it's fine." And
We also had a conversation with the other guy.
so he had come to the house. Now, mind you, my parents were not too thrilled about him. And
That's putting it lightly.
yeah, that's the gentle way of saying, you know. But I had asked, I said, do you mind him parking his car in our driveway and we're going to talk?
The whole time I had a red laser floating in my target.
No, so they said fine. So we talked, and I said, I choose you.
Wow.
And so he said,
Clap.
and then he said this. He goes, from this point on, we're heading towards
Our
getting married.
trajectory is marriage.
Yes, we're getting married. So that was it from that point. So and that wasn't even
Alvin,
me. That was
redemption.
him. And he goes, well, I guess I have to bring everything home. I said, what do you mean? He goes, everything I'd ever given him in the last couple of years, he had put in the trunk of the car. And he was so convinced I was going to say I chose the other person.
Wow.
That he was going to give me everything. Back.
Magpapa-reimburse sana ako ng mga Mga-resibo para ito yung investment ko. Huwag niyo gawin.
Guys, I would say listen to him, but also don't listen to him.
All right. Pastors, kasi we're winding down. We're winding down to our last few minutes, okay? Time passed by so
But
fast.
Pastor Alvin is
Pero-
enjoying this so much.
Hindi, ito pa. Meron pa tayong pang huli. Because we're already touching on the subject eh. We're talking about like you had to break the news to the other guy, right? I mean that was
We were together. Sorry.
Habang nakakapunin.
This is what happens when
anyway.
they come together. This is what happens when we were
We're
in
the
Bible
serious
school.
ones, and
this
yeah.
thing.
Alright. Earlier we were able to touch on the thought that we have to give the young adults, people, the freedom to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And in the process of making mistakes, there is a taking of a responsibility to do what is right, especially if you feel that the relationship is off.
Yes.
Sabi nga ni
Very good.
James Ingram, and there is
Wow.
just no easy way.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you sing it?
Yeah. Kalimutan ko na yung todo. All right. Since we're on the topic already, and hopefully some of you guys out there would be able to benefit from this, because if you believe you're in the wrong setup or relationship, there's just no easy way going about it, but just simply to break it off. Now, hopefully we could learn from this, because we're talking real talk to guys, okay? Is it even possible to break up responsibly? Because again, there's no easy way. There emotions, finger pointing. Sabi nga ni Pastor Alvin, he brought all of these stuff to your house for reimbursement. I mean, that could be a real thing for some people.
Well, that's true.
It gets to that point, right? Like even wedding rings being returned, and then some even not. You don't have to return it; just pay for it. I mean, I've heard of a lot of, back and forths like that. So how is it even possible to break up responsibly? And if certain guys already know that they ought to break up with their partner, how do you even go about it?
I think it's a truer statement to say that statement of breaking up responsibly, but it's not true to say that breaking up painlessly.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
It's always going to be
Emotions
pain
will always be involved.
because there's investment.
Yeah, investment. And sometimes you delay because you don't want to hurt the person, but in the process, you're hurting your future.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? And so just be willing to say, and it's gonna hurt, right? Whether you are the recipient or you are the initiator of that breakup, if you truly know without a shadow of doubt na parang this is wrong at this moment. Let's just even say that person is the right person, but it's the wrong time. Right person at the wrong time is the wrong person.
Yeah.
Because they're not the person that they need to be for you to be together. Same
Or even for you. You're
as well. You're
Yeah.
not the right person at that time.
So good.
So you just go, however, you stumble with the words. There is no right word to ease it in. Walang kahit gaano ka galing magsalita. The moment you drop that, it's gonna hurt. So if you need to do it, if you have to do it ugly because you don't know how, as long as you do it, you just pray for the grace of God to be at that moment when you do it. Pero if you know, at least ikaw, the other person may not be in agreement.
True.
I would think that yun pa nga, kasi hindi naman kayo married pa eh. Di ba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can go, I think this is not right for us at this time. So for guys, thinking na, alam mo na hindi tama yun. You are not helping if you're just trying to protect the woman from more hurt by continuing the relationship.
True.
Knowing that you're compromising your call, her call, and if you are in the ministry, if you're maybe even leadership, then you are hurting you. The example that you're setting to other people, the testimony, is not gonna be good. So then you bring in your leaders. Kung hindi, I don't know kung if this is a process that might be helpful. Kung hindi mo kaya nung ikaw lang, you may need to bring somebody at least peripheral that's there to support you. I don't know, right? But it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Because it has to be done. I don't know your take on
Well, I think it's the same for a woman. If you know this relationship is not going anywhere,
it. Yeah.
be strong enough to say this is not working. And I don't think that we have a future together. the guy may say, no, I think you're wrong. But that shouldn't stop you from stepping out of that. Because sometimes we stay in relationships because we've been manipulated to do that. We feel guilty, let's just say you've been physically intimate, you've had sex, and that can become a way to stay. Guys, you can still step out of that, and God can still restore you even afterwards. But that shouldn't be a reason for you to stay. Now, this came to mind. Maybe you have a child together. Okay? Wow. One of the things that we're very strong about is that just because you have a child together doesn't mean you should be getting married. True. Because maybe you're not supposed to have gotten married, but you do have a child. You have a responsibility now as parents, co-parents to your child, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in a married relationship. There will be a relationship because you have a child together, but to be married, living together, that's not the case. But I like what you said about leadership. And maybe some of you don't have people who you're accountable to. Find people you trust. That's right. That can be there for you and your partner. And it's somebody, because you said to have somebody come in. That's great, do that. But it's somebody that is objective. Right. That stands, doesn't just take one side, but is willing to hear both sides and just say, I think you're right. Talk these things out again. You said about responsibly. Yeah. If you know that it has to be done, that's responsible. Yeah. That's the responsible thing to do. That's good. Right. And you might be surprised that maybe for the other person has been thinking about it, but didn't know how to go about it. And you're going, it's almost like there's a relief. Is there still pain? Yes, because there's been investment of time, money, emotions, but there's also a sense of relief. And it may not be right away, but later on you're like, I'm so glad that it didn't go down this way. Right. We were able to break this off. You may be friends, you may not be. And you're going to have to be okay with that. Yeah. And you may see each other in church. But it doesn't mean you can't be civil. Yeah. True. Because what you're doing when you're civil is you're showing the other person respect in the midst of any pain that you're feeling, and whatever it is you're thinking about. No, I honor this person, I respect this person. That's part of why I had to break this off. Yeah. Right. And maybe for the person that had to, on the receiving end, it hurts too much to see the other person because of the pain. And you may not feel like the person respects you or honors you, but later on you'll see the person cared enough to say, you know what, we're not going the same direction. Right. Our calls are completely different. And I want you to be able to be free to walk in that so that I can also be free to walk in mine. So
very good. That's so rich. I mean, that's a lot of gold right there. And I guess one of the things that I'm picking up, just to close this conversation, is that it takes a lot of intentionality.
Oh, yes.
Intentionality in the relationship. You have to think about it. You have to calculate the cost. You have to know what you're getting into. You have to know who you are, and you have to know the other person as well. All of that consists of what we call pursuit and courtship, and it's really very important. Even to the point where you're already in a relationship together, it still takes intentionality to a certain, are we going still in the same direction? Maybe we're not, then let's talk it up, what's happening? Are we still headed here? I'm going to the ministry, this is my call. I'm going outside of the Philippines, and this is my call. I mean, those things, happen. And so along the way, being in a relationship still takes intentionality up to a certain point where you get married, you become parents, you have greater roles to take. Yeah. It's still being intentional about the other person and about yourself.
Sorry, just quickly to put this in. One of the things we're firm believers of is premarriage counseling. Right. And even for those that they've been together a long time, they're thinking about it, there hasn't necessarily been a proposal yet. it's still good to kind of go through that counseling because you get to see where you're going.
Right.
You know, if you're on the same page, and if you're going through it and you're like, wow, we are not in sync at all, then I would say it would be a great time to reassess where you're at. We went through premarriage counseling, and we were 5 couples. 2 ended up not getting married after like the third session and they'd been together 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
But they found out that they were not going in the same direction. And then we found out later on, they had all gotten married to different people. Within that year that they had all broken up, but they had all gotten married to different people. So, you know, I mean...
I don't remember any of that.
Because I am detailed. Just saying.
Right, right. Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you really have to know what your vision for yourself is as well, you know, and you can get that from God. You know, as long as you're whole, it's not about what Jerry Maguire said, you complete me, I complete you. It's not about that.
Great movie, by the way. So good.
Yeah, and there's grace. And there's grace into being in a relationship and finding out, you know, if we're not supposed to head towards marriage, then you have to take that courage to discuss and go, we can still be good friends, you know, and it's not a sin to do that and to decide that. All right.
Yeah. Well,
I
you know,
guess-
it has been a crazy good, man.
Crazy
good
and
past
good.
sessions.
Really good rehearsal. I hope.
And I must say,
Thank you guys for having us.
right, I must say, you know, why don't we have a soiree between New Life the Fourth and New Life Alabang
Yeah.
young adults? Come on, it's time for us to do that.
I just really wanted, you know, to encourage you guys, you know, if you believe that Pastor Alvin Mitch should be back, comment down below. But aside from that, you know, we want to thank you for being with us for the past weeks. Several episodes. We want to thank you for constantly being on the lookout and let us know, you know, what else your thoughts are, how else we can improve.
How we can help you.
We would love to hear that because, you know, after this, you know, we're going to be transitioning to another topic. And I pray that it's going to bless you as well. So, you know, on behalf of the Crossroads team and on behalf of Riza, Kay, Jay,
Chess, James, and Jelaine, our prod team. Awesome, guys.
Yeah, you know, we just want to say that we appreciate you and we hope that all of this content that we're putting out is adding to you.
Right, and again, once again, this is Live at the Crossroads.
Sure na yun.